The Phillies dropped game one, and Rob Thomson's decision-making did them in. But if the top of the lineup doesn't wake up, it'll be the players' fault that the Phillies don't win this series.
You are Locked On Phillies, your daily Philadelphia Phillies podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Yes, this is Locked On Phillies. I'm your host, Connor Thomas. Thank you so much for joining us today. We come to you as part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Your number one spot for daily Philadelphia Phillies content Monday through Friday is here on Locked On Phillies. You might know me from some of my other work in the sports talk space. I've been on air over at 97.5 The Fanatic, doing sports talk radio here in Philadelphia for over 6 years now. I've been a credentialed Philadelphia Phillies media member for the past 4 seasons, and this is now my 4th year as the host of Locked On Phillies. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. Download the app today. The Phillies dropped game one, and it was just an embarrassing display of management from Rob Thomson. There's no way to sugarcoat it whatsoever. I didn't like the comments that he made following the game where he doubled down on his strategy. The tough thing, right, because I got a lot of your comments on my reaction video from right after the game, the immediate, just 1 minute reaction video. I can't list everything in 1 minute, folks. That's why it's beautiful to do a long form podcast, because we're going to talk about later on in the show the top of the lineup being non-existent again. Bryce Harper, Trea Turner, Kyle Schwarber not getting the job done in game one. We're going to talk about game two, which is tonight, a gut check game for the Phillies. And what will the lineup look like against the lefty Blake Snell? But we've got to start with the manager, because here's the thing, right? The Phillies lost game one in large part because of how Rob Thomson handled the bullpen. If the Phillies' top hitters continue to go 0 for or 1 for a game, they will lose this series. It will be Bryce Harper, Kyle Schwarber, and Trea Turner that wear that. But in this singular instance, in the 5-3 loss to the Dodgers in game one at Citizens Bank Park, I'm putting it on Rob Thomson first and foremost for multiple reasons. So let's start with Christopher Sanchez, who gave you a really strong start for the most part. He looked darn good in the first 6 innings of that game, pretty much. And then he runs into trouble in the 6th. And that's going to happen. He had one sweeper that just hung up a little bit, gets hit down the line for a double. All of a sudden, you're in a 3-2 game, and you're like, well, you got to take him out at this point, because he was fading, right? And the Dodgers were starting to pick him up. So I have absolutely no issue with Rob Thomson sticking with Christopher Sanchez as long as he did. And I have absolutely no issue with Rob Thomson going to the bullpen when he did. Dave Robertson comes in, and he absolutely gets the job done, right? Gets the out needed. You get out with the lead. And then this is where Rob Thomson went terribly, terribly wrong, right? You have not done an up-down with Dave Robertson since he's been a member of this team this year, right? Now, it's not a full 162 games worth, because they signed him just ahead of the trade deadline. But at no point in the regular season did you look at 40-year-old Dave Robertson, the oldest guy on the roster, and think that it was a good idea to have him complete an inning, sit down in the dugout, get cold, go back out, and try and then again get major league hitters out. Especially the quality of a team like the Dodgers and the guys that you're going to have to face. Why in the world, with your entire bullpen completely fresh, you had a week off, you had an off day the day after game one, you had no reason to not use more guys in the bullpen. And instead, you give that spot to David Robertson again. And Rob Thomson's explanation, at base level, I get it, right? He talks about, well, we wanted Matt Strahm for Shohei Ohtani. If I had went with a different righty, Shohei was up 3rd in that inning. So you would have had to have him face 3 batters, which would have included a righty-lefty matchup on Shohei Ohtani. So you didn't want to use somebody new. Well, guess what? You use Robertson. There's too many Robertson, Robs in this series. Bear with me. But you use David Robertson and you get 2 guys on. And then you have to deal with the situation of going to Matt Strahm against Shohei Ohtani, not in a situation where, oh, well, there's nobody on. And if you give up a home run, worst case, the game is tied. No, now you're dancing with danger already. And you end up getting Ohtani and getting Betts. And then you end up with the home run to Teoscar Hernandez, which, yeah, Matt Strahm's got to make a better pitch there. Anyone who's like, oh, I don't like Matt Strahm, you got to throw him. He's one of your best bullpen arms. I think he gets unfair criticism. Now, he made a mistake pitch in that situation, but the reason that Matt Strahm was in a situation to give up the lead in that game was because the manager set him up for failure by setting up David Robertson for failure, by putting the wheels in motion that put the Phillies behind the 8 ball and cost them this game. That's where this game was lost. You look at it and you say, oh, well, the Phillies only scored 3 runs. Look at some of the other scores around baseball, right? I'm just going to read through some final scores from the Major League Baseball postseason so far. Wild card round and the starts of the divisional series. Yesterday, the Mariners beat the Tigers 3-2 in Game 2 of the American League Divisional Series. Guess what? Saturday, 3-2 in Game 1 of that Tigers-Mariners series. The Tigers win that game. Thursday, the Cubs win a game against the Padres 3-1. The Yankees win a game against the Red Sox 4-0. Wild card series as well. Back on Wednesday, the Padres beat the Cubs 3-0. The Yankees beat the Red Sox 4-3. Tuesday, Tigers win 2-1. Cubs win 3-1. Yankees lose 3-1 to the Red Sox. There have been plenty of games where 3 runs has been enough. Now, we are going to talk in our next segment that we have on the show very much about the top of the lineup, right? They are not free from fault, but you score 3 runs. Do I care where the 3 runs come from? I mean, a little bit, and that's why I say for the series, you need to have your big guys be your big guys. But in this instance, I think the Phillies offense did enough to win this game with the start that Sanchez gave you. But the manager messed up the bullpen. I will say, in the moment, and if you've seen the reaction video that I put out after the game, I was completely dumbfounded as to why Nick Castellanos hit for Harrison Bader. Now, if you don't know some of the other stuff that I do for work, I work for 97.5 The Fanatic, a radio station. We had a watch party, right? So I'm out with the people watching, and it's like sponsored by a whole bunch of people. So I got to do a billion things. So I missed that Harrison Bader was injured. They didn't make it completely clear from what was going on with the Castellanos thing. So I did not see that when I did the reaction video. That would have been like a fireable offense type of thing from Rob Thomson. Obviously, we know now Bader has an injury. When we preview Game 2, we're going to talk about whether or not Bader will be available for Game 2. And if he is, should you start him? Depends on how he's feeling, because his legs or his athleticism, a big part of that game. Made a great catch in center field in that game. So you can see, like, you need him able to move. But so that is on me for missing that. But you just got to understand, Red October, there's a billion things going on that I'm trying to keep track of right there. So that's on me. Not Rob Thomson's fault there, just injury. But that sucked as well. And listen, I don't mind Edmundo Sosa pinch hitting for Brandon Marsh, bases loaded late in that game. I don't mind what he did with the lineup. I actually really liked the lineup that Rob Thomson put together. But when you have to manage a bullpen in October, it's going to be the main difference between winning and losing a lot of these games. And Rob Thomson has had issues managing bullpens in his time as the Phillies manager. And that was one of the most glaring examples of, dude, what in the world are you doing? And this is not hindsight. No. The second David Robertson came back out for the 7th inning, I was like, why? All the guys you have at the pen, and you're sticking with one, and up down for a 40-year-old guy, that's where the game was lost. Like, say what you want about Harper, Turner, Schwarber. I don't care when your manager is putting a 40-year-old guy out of your bullpen back out there after him sitting and going cold for an inning in a spot that you had not done it all year. People will say, oh, playoff baseball, pull out all the stops. You got to do things differently at points. But in Game 1, in the 6th and 7th inning, While you're holding a 1-run lead, that's where you decide to go out on a limb and do something that, one, it seemed like nobody else thought was smart besides Rob Thomson, and two, you hadn't done all year. It was ridiculous mismanagement, and that's why the weight of game one is firmly on the shoulders of the manager. But he was not the only person responsible, right? I look at him first because I think that was the major turning point in that game for the Dodgers finding a way to win 5-3. But you are not going to win this series if you don't get production from Turner, Schwarber, Harper. We got to figure out what in the world goes wrong with these guys in October, and we will talk about that and how they need to step up big time in a must-win game two if the Phillies have any chance to keep their season alive. All right, let's talk about FanDuel because the NFL season is here. And FanDuel has an offer you don't want to miss. Right now, new customers can bet just $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if you win. That's right. Pick a bet, put down $5, and if it hits, you're going to unlock $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. There are a lot of great ways to do that, but what I would say is take that $5, put it on something real safe. You don't have to worry about what the payout would be normally because if you're a new user, you're going to get those $300 in bonus bets if your bet wins. So it doesn't matter if the payout's a penny. If you win it, you get that $300 in bonus bets, and then you use that to make all the risky bets that you want to. All right? Or maybe ones that you like, but you just want to bet a whole bunch on. FanDuel's great with that. The payouts are quick and easy and safe. They've got so many ways you can win, from parlays to props to money line and spread bets to even futures. You want to take the Phillies to win this series now that they're down one game, you get pretty good odds on that. Probably because they're not in a great spot. But FanDuel makes watching everything even more interesting when it comes to your sports life. So what are you waiting for? Visit FanDuel.com to download the FanDuel app today and get started. Yeah, I know. A lot of people were talking to me saying, Connor, how did you not bring up the top of the lineup in your 1-minute reaction video? And to that, I'd say, guys, it's 1 minute. I only have so much time. But I got a lot of time today, and I'm not happy with what I saw from the top of the lineup. Not one bit. But real quick, if you're happy with what you're seeing or what you're hearing on Locked On Phillies, I appreciate that very much. I appreciate you guys checking in, and you can rate and review. That would really help us out if you're listening to us in podcast form. We are available on Locked On Phillies wherever you get your podcasts, and we're also available for you to watch the show on YouTube. And if you're doing that, hit the subscribe button. It's free and easy to subscribe to the Locked On Phillies YouTube channel. It'll get you notifications when new episodes are posted. It helps you out. It helps us out. Somebody needs to help out the top of the Phillies lineup, though. So in game one of the NLDS, the Philadelphia Phillies just absolutely did not get the production necessary from Trea Turner, Bryce Harper, and Kyle Schwarber. It's been an ongoing narrative about this team. The big stars not showing up in the biggest moments. Turner, 0 for 3. 1 walk, 1 strikeout. Schwarber, the biggest issue in game one. 0 for 4 with 3 strikeouts. And then Bryce Harper, the lone hit out of the top 3 guys, 1 for 4 with 2 Ks. Now, some people will look at Alec Boehm batting in the cleanup spot and say, oh, he went 0 for 2. He had a run scored. He had 2 walks. If he gets on base twice, that I understand is an RBI production spot. But in the postseason, with a guy like Alec Boehm, who hasn't been good in postseasons past, I'll take that as a jumping off point. And he's also not Bryce Harper, Kyle Schwarber, or Trea Turner. We're talking about the National League leader, National League batting title winner in Trea Turner, the National League leader in home runs and RBIs in Kyle Schwarber, and a 2-time National League MVP in Bryce Harper. And I don't know what it is with the guys, but they've seemed lately to get tight in these big moments. Now let's think about some stuff, right? Trea Turner, at previous stops in his major league career, you have seen his play kind of drop off a little bit in the postseason. So he doesn't exactly have this resume of being this major postseason performer. Is that concerning? Absolutely. I mean, I think back to what he looked like in his first season here in Philadelphia in 2023 and how he just did not seem comfortable at any point, and it led to very poor performance. Maybe he's a guy that when those lights get bright, he gets a little too in his head, and that's an issue. That can't be acceptable, but that may be a reason for Turner. But what I can't say is the same for Kyle Schwarber and for Bryce Harper. Kyle Schwarber is a guy who has homered in like every single round of the postseason ever. It's unbelievable what this guy's postseason resume looks like for where he's hit home runs. World Series, Championship Series, Divisional Series, Wild Card Series. All of these things have been accomplished by Schwarber. He has a postseason resume. So now all of a sudden, the lights are too bright for him? I don't buy it. Bryce Harper, he hit the home run to send the Phillies to the World Series back in 2022. He has had some big-time swings in postseason series in a Phillies uniform. You can make the argument for Turner of maybe the lights are too bright, but Schwarber and Harper, they have big-time moments in big-time spots. So what in the world has changed? Well, think about where these guys are at now in their career. Bryce Harper is on the backside of 30. Kyle Schwarber is on the backside of 30. Trea Turner is on the backside of 30. They are at a point where I have to imagine they are thinking about not only where their careers are and how their best days probably are not ahead of them. And I'm not saying, oh, well, they're going to fall off a cliff. I'm just saying you don't continue to get better into your mid to late 30s as a professional athlete. So there is a little sense of, bro, we got to win soon. And then on top of that, there's the leadership roles of the team. Schwarber, Harper, Turner. They're leaders on this Phillies baseball team, right? The media, the fan base, opposing teams when they're preparing for the Phillies, they look at those guys first. And that comes with pressure when you know that this may be the last run of a core of guys. Do you think that they want to see JT Realmuto end his Philadelphia Phillies tenure with a ring if he's gone in free agency? Do you think they want Ranger Suarez, who could be, and I think will be, gone in free agency when this year is over, to end with a ring? Like, do you think they want this era of Phillies baseball with this group of players that has been such a tight-knit locker room to roll out of this era and start to retool with different younger players? Do you want to see that end without a championship? That comes with pressure. I think these guys are at a very tough point where they're like feeling the, man, we're letting this core down. We're letting this fan base down. We are looking at this era of Philadelphia Phillies baseball, and we are faced with the impending mortality of this 4-year stretch. And that's leading to them, I don't know, gripping the bat a little too tight, pressing a little too much. I'm not making excuses like, oh, you guys should feel bad for Bryce Harper, Kyle Schwarber, and Trea Turner because look at all the pressure they're under. That's not my point at all, right? The great ones, the championship winners, of which 2 of those 3 guys already are, but we're trying to have them be again here in Philadelphia. They see that pressure, they feel that pressure, and they overcome it. And in game 1, they didn't overcome it. They collapsed under the pressure of the moment. If they do it again in game 2, the Phillies will most likely be down 0-2. And you know what that means? This series, which we're going to talk about when we preview game 2, is de facto over if they drop game 2 tonight. You can't have it. Legacies are on the line. Maybe not overall baseball legacies, but this era of Phillies baseball, damn well better believe they're going to be looked at a whole lot different if it closes out without winning a championship. Been some great moments. No rings. And that's the ultimate indicator of success for a team like the Philadelphia Phillies. So they got to step up. Now, I didn't notice anything too off with the approach, right? Trea seems to be working on getting back into tracking pitches. Remember, he missed a couple of weeks at the end of the season. So does he get a little slack for that? I guess you can understand it more for him. Schwarber, his 3 strikeouts, he doesn't look like he's, I don't know, lost. And the other thing you got to consider is Shohei Ohtani, Tyler Glasnow, Roki Sasaki, some of the guys that the Dodgers went to are not their typical, like, oh, their bullpen stinks relievers. You're seeing some big-time arms out of that bullpen that have been high-level starters that are now being repurposed because the Dodgers have that luxury because of the way they built their team. And that's some of the criticism against them, but you can't listen, don't hate the player, hate the game. I don't know what to tell you. They got great arms. You got to hit great pitching in October, though. You can't go out, right? The one thing that is unacceptable, and you can use it from a game-to-game basis of like Ohtani's ridiculous on the mound. I get why you had a little bit of trouble, but you can't roll out of October and lose and say, well, we face good pitching, right? The Dodgers, the top of their lineup wasn't great either. Let's go over to their side just for a little bit of context for the conversation. Ohtani, 0 for 4 with a walk. Mookie Betts, 0 for 5. Teoscar Hernandez, 1 for 4. That top three in their lineup went, 1 for 13? Now, the difference was Bryce Harper's hit, which was the lone one for the top three guys in the Phillies lineup, was a single. Teoscar Hernandez's was a 3-run home run. Hitting the ball out of the yard matters big time in October. But you see, you can win a game with your top guys not being your number one producers. The Dodgers just did it against you. But your manager needs to not screw up, and you can't win a series with every game looking like that from the top three. So the spotlight is heavily on the top of the Phillies order. But it's also on Jesus Luzardo. It's also on the bullpen. Heck, this game, it's on everybody. Can the Phillies keep their hopes alive and not go down 0-2 heading to LA, which would be a brutal turn of events? We're going to preview an all-important Game 2 as we continue today's episode of Locked On Phillies. Let's talk a little bit about our friends over at Monarch Money first, because they are incredible if you want to take care of your finances. And who doesn't want to take better care of their finances? Hey, not breaking any news here. Money's very important. And most people can't name all their financial accounts or even what they're worth, whether it's 401ks, properties, or investments. And when you don't have the full picture, you can end up leaving money on the table. And that's why Monarch Money exists. It's an all-in-one personal finance tool that brings your entire financial life together in one clean, easy-to-use interface on your laptop or your phone. Monarch is built for people with busy lives. And God knows we're all busy right now with everything going on in the sports world and just life in general. And if you put off organizing your finances, Monarch is for you. They do the heavy lifting for you. You can link all your accounts in minutes, see clear data visuals, get smart categorization of your spending, and finally feel in control of your money without ever touching a spreadsheet. So don't let financial opportunities slip through the cracks. Use code LOCKEDONMLB at monarchmoney.com in your browser for half off your first year. That's 50% off your first year at monarchmoney.com with code LOCKEDONMLB. Man, this game is important. You don't need me to tell you that, but it is. So I'll say it. Going down 2-0, losing both at home would be the death knell for the Phillies season. If they do not win tonight, I'll tell you right now, I am coming on this podcast tomorrow, and I'm telling you they're dead. And you might say, Connor, that's defeatist. It takes 3 wins to win this series. They wouldn't technically be dead. They can win in LA. They just did it in the last series they played where they won 2 games out there. Okay, cool. You can say that all you want. I'm going by the numbers. Heck, you go by the numbers, you might already believe the Phillies are dead. The Phillies are 0-8 in franchise history when they lose game 1 of a series. Right? It's not this gigantic sample size, but it's not nothing. And it just shows you how important game 1 is. It felt a little bit like last year's game 1 against the Mets, where Wheeler dominated, the bullpen gave it up, and all of a sudden you're waking up the next day saying, what in the world happened? How are we not up 1-0 in this series? So the only thing you can do, put on your big boy pants, go out there, and try and find a way to win game 2. Jesus Luzardo is getting the ball for the Phillies. And for anyone who thinks, wow, Rob Thomson's messing this up, it should be Ranger Suarez. Jesus Luzardo's numbers are better at home than they are on the road. Ranger Suarez's numbers are better on the road than they are at home. All right? That's just pure playing the numbers. I think that's all you can do because neither of those guys had a better season than the other, really, I don't think. Now, Ranger, I think, had the higher peak for the longer time. But Jesus Luzardo has how many double-digit strikeout games this year? Career high in innings, career high in strikeouts. He's been really good too. We should have faith in Luzardo to go out and put together a great start tonight. But he's got to, right? He's got to do it. And I wonder about the environment because I know he's an environment-affected player. We saw it when he was potentially tipping pitches earlier this year. We saw it when he was uncomfortable with runners on base. Ranger doesn't care. Luzardo seems like he is affected by that a little bit more. All the more reason to have him pitch at home than a potential closeout game 3 on the road. I'd rather have Ranger for that one. So I don't mind the decision. He's just got to go out and shove. He's got to give you 6 innings tonight because I don't trust the bullpen to get any more than 3 innings worth of outs. Now, you can if things go your way, but you're gambling. Here's something that is important about the bullpen, though. You have to manage this game like an elimination game. I know you have another game coming up on Wednesday, but you got a day off in between. Everybody in the bullpen's available. Everybody needs to go out there if you need to. And you need to use the strategy that best helps your team. Now, does that mean throwing Aaron Nola out of the pen? No, that's not what I'm saying with all hands on deck. But let's say you're up 2 runs or 1 run in the 8th inning and somebody gets an out. Throw Duran 5-out save. Maybe throw him a 6-out save. Like, I don't know. We can't worry about up downs with the guy that throws like 101, 102. Robertson, he finishes an inning, he's done. But some of these other guys, Strahm may be another one. You can get multiple innings worth of work from Matt Strahm. If you get into a pinch early and you got to go to someone in the 4th or 5th, you could throw Walker Buehler or Taijuan Walker. Like, it's no holds barred for Rob Thomson. And that is why I'm going to be uber critical of the managerial decisions because you can do a lot of different things. You have a lot of explainable options that are better than a 40-year-old guy going out there for a 2nd inning. You had everybody available in game 1, and that's why it ticked me off so much that Rob Thomson went to David Robertson. I've already made that point. Now, there's something else tricky about game 2, and that's Harrison Bader's availability. So you have a lefty on the mound. Ideally, Harrison Bader's your center fielder all the time, every game. But he was lifted with an injury in game 1. Now, he got an MRI, lower body injury, showed nothing on the MRI. He got a clean MRI. That doesn't mean that he's not hurt, right? It doesn't mean that his leg all of a sudden feels good. But what it does mean is he's potentially available to play in game 2 of this series, which would be huge. Because if he doesn't play in game 2, you're starting Marsh in center field. You're starting probably Castellanos in right field, righty on lefty, because I don't really trust Kepler lefty. And then you're starting Weston Wilson. There's a chance that in a game of this magnitude, if Bader can't play, Wilson, Marsh, Castellanos is your starting outfield. And I don't think that's good enough. Now, Bader has said he's going to do everything he can to be out there. If he's clean bill of health, like, I find it hard to believe he's not going to argue his way into the lineup. But we'll see. Now, if he is in there, there are other questions that you have. Do you play Brandon Marsh in game 2 of this series against the tough lefty in Blake Snell? Well, in game 1, Brandon Marsh was lifted as a pinch hitter for Edmundo Sosa, but he did go 1 for 3 in his at-bats that he got against righties, right? So when you see that, you know he had a big hit, he had a run scored. Okay, he's been swinging it really, really well. I'll tell you right now, Connor Thomas, the manager of the Philadelphia Phillies, Brandon Marsh is playing today, whether it's in left or center. He's out there, even against a tough lefty, even if Harrison Bader is available. My lineup tonight would be Marsh in left, Bader in center, Castellanos in right, with everybody available off the bench to pinch hit if needed. Marchand, Kepler, Stott, because I am also starting Edmundo Sosa at second base, but that one feels like kind of a no-brainer, right? Eddie Sosa has been so good in big spots for this team. He is so much better against lefties than Bryson Stott, being that he is a right-handed batter. So Sosa plays, Marsh plays. Bader plays if he's available. And if not, you're going with Weston Wilson. And I am giving Nick Castellanos the start in right field, even though his at-bats didn't look great in game one. The Phils are up against it, folks. We got a lot on the line. And I don't want to have to come to terms with this season being over any sooner than I have to be. But tonight, the Phillies, if they do not win, they might make me have to be. We'll see. I mean, just looking at the odds, and like we know Blake Snell is a great pitcher, so I just want to give you the numbers real quick on tonight's game. ESPN Analytics, 58.7% chance that the Dodgers win this game. The betting odds, the Dodgers are minus 130 favorites in this game. So the open for this game, Phils were minus 145. That line has shifted heavily towards the Dodgers, which is not a good sign for the Fighting Phils. It's not like this giant disparity between the two teams, but the Sharps are telling you LA's winning this one. And the Sharps would have told you the Phillies were winning game one, so they can be wrong. But you drop this one, we're going to have an even angrier show tomorrow, or maybe just a defeated show tomorrow. So they're not dead, not yet. They had a bad giveaway in game one. They were up for 60% of that game, 70% of that game. So is that something to take positive away from? Maybe if you're looking for a positive today. I'm not looking for a positive. I'm looking for a team that has all this talent to get up and gut check themselves at Citizens Bank Park in front of their home crowd and show us that home field advantage is still a thing, that Red October is still a thing, that this team still has life in them. So we will see. And either way, we'll be talking more about it on tomorrow's episode of Locked On Phillies. So once again, thank you for joining us. We are part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Please make sure you're rating, reviewing, subscribing to the YouTube, all that great stuff that really helps us out. And I will talk to you tomorrow on the next episode of Locked On Phillies.